where it is grey and overcast and windy and so Tasmanian right now. So welcome to Tuesday the 24th of June. And there we go, I'm now live. I felt like I needed to draw a Lindy card today because the moon is in Gemini and there's a little bit of um, challenge around. So I felt like maybe there was the need for some swear bear. Oh, this one. Oh, I bloody love you guys. And tell yourself the same thing. All right, so we have the sun in Cancer. That is beautiful. We're looking at that nurturing family. Oh, just that, a warm hug with your kids. Um, so so yeah, Sun in Cancer and the Moon in Gemini. So tell yourself that you are awesome and that you love yourself. I bloody love you. All right, so let's get into it. All right. Good morning, Alicia. Oh, there we go. I love you too, Alicia. And H, where's H? She hasn't jumped on yet. Good morning, Kathy. Oh, look, I've got people. It works today. All right. Well, let's get into this. All right. So now the moon's not doing anything until after 1 when it starts a square to the nodes. All right. So we're just sort of in this really quiet space. Like here we are, the day before the new moon already. I just had that realization and I'm like, how did a month go past just like that? Like, I don't even remember the full moon. I don't know. There's this weird space that I feel like we're in right now. All right. So we have, um, like I said, the moon's not doing a whole lot, but it is still conjunct Hygeia. All right. So we have been thinking about things. The moon's in Gemini. We're thinking, but at least Mercury's in Cancer. So we're thinking, and the sun's in Cancer conjunct Jupiter, which is tomorrow morning at 1 a.m. We have that sun conjunct Jupiter. All right. So that's lovely. It does make everything that much bigger, though. You know what I mean? But we are thinking more about, there's that aspect of Jupiter being wisdom, knowledge, abundance, our belief system. We're in us southern hemispheres where it's still at that bounce point where the days haven't started getting longer yet. We are in a dark, quiet place. All right. So in the words I've written, that you might feel like you're being forced into a position that you're not really comfortable with. However, growth is growth. All right. So now, but growth rarely begins in comfort. Just like seeds planted in the dark, transformation happens quietly before anything bursts into bloom. So give yourself permission to retreat a little bit today. It's the day before the new moon, a liminal time where we're on that like the portal moment. We're just about to cross over into a different space. So let your thoughts settle and trust that what's stirring beneath the surface is exactly what you need to have unfold. All right. Right. So the sun, like I said, it's conjunct Jupiter tomorrow morning at 1 a.m. Good morning, Barbara. How are you? But today at 11 p.m., all right, so only like 2 hours before that, the sun is in conjunct Pluto. All right, so sun in Cancer in conjunct Pluto. All right, so okay, so in conjunct, not only is it tension and adjustment required, but people aren't quite seeing eye to eye. All right, so that Jupiter Sun Cancer going, but family is everything. And, we must do this because this is what we believe our people need. Think homelands and, our home space, that sacred thing, those sacred things that we grew up with, the beliefs that we have around home and family. Good morning, Sean. And then the adjustment required to that Pluto in Aquarius. All right, so Pluto is, he demands transformation and truth and real difficult feelings, because he's like, such is life, like it is how it is. If you want to innovate and get to those future dreams and hopes, then you must transform. If you want to do what's good for everybody, then are you holding on to old beliefs that are no longer relevant? Things like that. You can always put a couple of different spins on things. So there's Sun in conjunct Pluto at 11 p.m. So that's growing all day. But Jupiter is in conjunct Pluto at 3 p.m. today. All right, so you can see that, because the Sun and Jupiter are conjunct, both of them are going to be making that same aspect just at different times. So the first one being, that doesn't make sense. The Sun is before Jupiter. All right, my brain's not quite comprehending the math here. But anyway, how about we say between 3 and 11? I can't quite get my head around that aspect. I know yesterday I was saying that because Saturn and Neptune were conjunct, the Sun was going to make that aspect for that amount of time. Same thing, guys. I might have them backwards, but it's the same thing. All right, the Sun and Jupiter are both in a position to in conjunct Pluto. All right, so ultimately shit needs to change. All right, we need to sit in this quiet space. All right, so here's another aspect of it. All right, so I'm really trying to sort of like, shit needs to change. But because we're in this new moon space, we're in this quiet darkness. We need to get our heads around it first, all right? The moon in Gemini. We need to be able to emotionally, moon, again, just wrap our heads around the transformation that needs to take place. And this needs to take place because the adjustment is those old things and beliefs aren't quite what is needed right this minute. We need to innovate, all right? Aquarius. We need to be transforming, and it might not feel great. I've always said all these years, does it hurt for a seed to crack? We plant seeds every single day. How do we know? Like we know when humans have growth spurts, that shit hurts. Like, oh my God, how many of you remember when your kids, their legs were hurting because they were growing, when they get to that preteen discomfort, like that 12 to, I mean, however old your kids were when they had their growth spurts. But like it was like, my legs hurt, I can't sleep. Me. You know what I mean? So there is that. Then this is where we're at. We're in this quiet, dark place. You could consider it. We're still under the covers. We've got our quilts because it's cold, and we're just, like when you wake up and you're just either, or when you're going to sleep, things just keep mulling over in your mind. And so this is that space. The new moon is at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night. And it's going to be beautiful because we have the new moon with the Sun and Gemini, Jupiter all conjunct. I think it's at like 3 or 4 degrees. So we've got the new moon conjunct Jupiter. It's fabulous. It really is beautiful. But we need to be able to get our heads around it at this time. All right. So the moon moves into Cancer tomorrow at 1:45, and then the new moon's at 8:30. So up until that 1:45 mark tomorrow, we're still in this dark Gemini. How do we feel? How are we coming to terms with this in our heads? How can we then change and innovate and allow these things to change? A lot of these traditional ancestral things that we're coming up against, you know, people don't want to change. It's not comfortable, it's not nice being in a dark, cold, wet, seed inducing place, but it's where growth happens. So going back to the Lindy card, even if you are in a place of transformation and you're not comfortable, just love yourself anyway, because that's another thing, that you can't take a seed out and rub it in a blankie because it's not going to work that way. It needs dirt, it needs nutrition, it needs moisture and things that, we're not comfortable with, but it has to happen that way. All right. So, so that's pretty much the day. All right. So, I mean, again, we're just forced into a position where we have to grow. We have to be able to rationalize this in our minds so that we can, release the restrictions that we put on ourselves. All right. Let me just draw the card to summarize what I think. Six, this one. Ooh, all right. So look, she's making plans for the head. Hello, Heather. There you are. There you are. Okay, so she's standing on the shore there, looking out into the future. I mean, she is assessing the waves. She is like standing there going, like, I want to go catch that set, but is it worth it? Like years and years of Pete, watching the waves from the shore just to sort of suss it out. And here's what we're doing. This adjustment that we need to be making right now is from a dark, quiet place. We need to be just assessing the situation while we are stopped and slow. So I like that. And I have to just share a little story with Heather. We were heading to Launceston, to Sydney yesterday, to Launceston, and of course we ran into Heather. Mick was like, "That looks like Heather's car. Is it blah blah number plate?" And I'm like, "Yes." So I'm at the window. We got to stop and have a little hug break. So that was awesome. I love the way the universe works, because we were just talking about the Halisha, the crew, to see if we can come over and hang out with us one weekend, which will happen shortly. But and yes, I got a complete bill of great health yesterday, so thank you for that support. Everything is good. Yeah, and that's me for today. I've got a reading at 1. Actually, oh my gosh, 9:30. All right, we're going to have our first installment of the life reset. All right, now I made this because I did a life reset when I went to Sydney, and I did take that 6 weeks to really deep dive into my own world, and I just saw the benefits were amazing. So this week we're going to do the first and seventh houses. So we're looking at you as a person. Thank you, Sean. I'm so looking forward to it. And also the relationships that we have in our lives. All right, so it's not too late to join. You can do it a couple of ways. You can get them emailed to you weekly, or you can just add on the coaching group and have it looked at personally with you. So I have had a couple of questions, and like I said, there's two ways to do it. You can do it on your own as more of a thought experiment, or you can do it in the group as a supportive coaching environment where you can ask questions and have your chart looked at. And there's so many considerations when you're looking at life. So that's me. This is something that you can get at any time. I'm just starting this module, I guess, today, and it's going to be going through for 6 weeks. So the link is either at bridgetsastrology.com.au, or I will pop it into the bottom of the chat here. So yeah, if I see you, I see you. If not, I will see you tomorrow. Mwah!